Hey guys, what I'd like to do today is talk about the subject of upgrading and talk about the fact that you probably shouldn't be upgrading in most situations. Now, if you watch tech on YouTube, upgrading is something that's probably on your mind a lot because you're watching videos about the latest products, etc. And it's something which will be in the minds of Apple users today because Apple are allowing people to pre-order the Apple 16 today and the 16 Plus, 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. So upgrading is going to be a hot topic today for many people. And it's something I talked about a few days ago when I was talking about the GoPro 13. And I've got the GoPro 12 here. And this video was inspired by a comment which I received on my video about the new GoPro coming out. So I'll leave a link to this video so that you can read this comment in full. But I will talk about this comment here because I think it's a really good comment and you can see that I've pinned it here. So this is a comment from Simon Wyndham. I don't agree with everything that he says in the comment, which is why I've posted the reply. But the first paragraph especially really sums up something which I think people have to really think about. I think it's something that's still relevant and will be relevant in many years. Simon says, I'm just not sure why so many videos are framed around the idea of upgrading from last year's camera. Whilst GoPro will undoubtedly like people to upgrade, that isn't its primary motivation since it knows most people are not usually going to upgrade year on year. Unless users are really pushing the limits of their cameras, there shouldn't be a need for most people to be thinking about upgrading for a few generations. If, on the other hand, you view things through the lens of what if this is your first action camera, or what if you're upgrading from the Hero 8 or 9, then things look very different. It's very hard for me to disagree with what Simon said there. I think he's right. And I think it's something that, people that review things on tech, on YouTube, and they review tech and they review smartphones and products, I think we sometimes lose touch with that sometimes. And it's easy for us to lose touch because with a lot of products like action cameras and smartphones, we buy the latest things because that's what people are searching for, that's what people are interested in. So when we do a comparison, we're talking about GoPro 13 versus 12, GoPro 12 versus 11, or iPhone 16, which is available for pre-order today against last year's iPhone 15 range. We're comparing things between now and 6 months ago, or now and a year ago. But the reality is, you probably shouldn't be upgrading that often. We're seeing all, tech videos every day. There's new products being launched all the time. There's big marketing events when new products are being released, and that's what most technology videos are about. But the reality is that year on year, we're not seeing massive improvements. In the GoPro world, we've seen the same CPU and same sensor being used for 3-4 years. And I was looking at the iPhone 16 today because obviously I have a YouTube channel. I want to cover it. I want to, do accessory reviews. But if I bought one of the new iPhone 16 Pros or Pro Maxes or whatever, is it going to make a noticeable difference to my life? No, I've got the 15 Pro Max here. It's probably 5%, the new phone's 5%, 10% better than this. I wouldn't even use the extra CPU performance that it's got. I don't really need an action camera button because I have an action button there. It's not going to make a noticeable difference to my life. If this phone was 5 years old though, then that's a whole different story. So I think that's on point what Simon said. Maybe tech reviewers do have to start considering the people that are upgrading from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's something that we lose sight of sometimes because most tech YouTubers are kind of gadget fiends who buy new products and sell and swap all the time. So they're always on the latest products. But I think for most people, you shouldn't upgrade because you're not going to see a noticeable difference. Now, if you go back 20 years ago to like the early 2000s, I used to buy a lot of smartphones. I'd change my phone maybe twice a year, but smartphones were in their infancy and you did see a difference. Every new phone that came out at that point, you saw better performance, you got a bigger display, you got more features. And looking at smartphones from 1 year to the next, or even 1 year to 2 years later, there was a massive difference in performance and functionality. That is not the case now. It just isn't the case because, the smartphone market, the tablet market, they've all matured. So you can take a smartphone from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you're probably going to be very happy with the performance. You might notice the camera isn't as powerful as the latest phones, but you're probably still going to be happy with the performance. And that's something I actually noticed last year. I was between the Samsung Fold and my iPhone, so I had like a week or so where I didn't have a phone. I switched to my old Xiaomi 10T Pro, which was a couple of years old. And yes, the camera looked dated, but the phone was snappy. The battery life was amazing. The screen was amazing. It felt like a new phone. And that's something you have to keep in mind. So if you are looking at a lot of new, phones and new tablets, new gadgets, you really have to take a step back and think, do I need this? It's very easy to look at all these videos, to look at the marketing material. It's very easy to fall into FOMO and think that you need something. But in most situations, you don't. And that's something I try and bear in mind with a lot of the things I've got, like cameras, laptops, earphones. There's certain things that I only upgrade when they break or when they start to really feel dated. But in the smartphone world, I think we're at the point now where maybe you shouldn't be upgrading yearly. Maybe you should be upgrading every 3 years. Maybe that's when your battery starts to suffer and when you start to notice that a difference between your phone and the latest phones. But just bear it in mind, you shouldn't be parting with your money so easily, and take a step back and think about what you actually need. And also always put an asterisk on whatever I say, whatever anyone else on YouTube says, because the reason that we review a lot of these latest products is because our requirements are different for a start, because we're filming and, but also because we're trying to review the latest products. And that means that our requirements are maybe a little bit higher than what the average person on the street is. So you have to take that into consideration. I think this is an interesting topic, so I encourage you to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and whether you are thinking about upgrading your smartphone or your tablet or something just now. If you've got FOMO, if you're sitting on the fence about something, post a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, take care.